Smallest weekly call ever, 3 people. Um, does one of you want to share your screen and kind of walk us through what the kind of final state of the app is, assuming we don't
Sure.
continue to work on it after?
Actually, let me go ahead and get it running locally.
Cheers, very kindly. Thank you.
Wait a second. Did I have an updated VS failed to have corrected? Okay, that's unfortunate.
I think we're going to show it in
just,
production, are we?
yeah, I'm just going to show production. I was going to run it locally,
Mhm.
but my VS Code's being dumb. So
Yeah,
let's not.
you do.
Let me just go ahead and share. Okay, yeah.
I love your background.
Oh, thank you. They rotate, but I like them all. Oh wait, nope. This is
That's my
yours.
app.
Just kidding. Yeah, just kidding. Moving too fast.
You go to the project brief, is that what you're looking for?
Ah, that is what I'm looking for. Right.
Yeah.
There you go. So I guess we're missing because I don't actually have a lot going on. So the only push that hasn't gotten up here that I did make is that I changed the zoom so it starts about here. You're kind of in here. I think the number goes from like 11, whatever the 11 correlates to like 16. So you do start a little farther in. But as you can see, oh, actually, no. Let me make sure. All that good stuff. So as you can see, when we pan, it's not choppy anymore because we implemented the drag end versus the handle center change. So it's not like constantly calling when it moves and all that good stuff. And you can verify that by nope. Why isn't it seeing my calls? I see it making it. Oh, since CSS. Get out of here. So actually, it's still making a lot of calls. Maybe we didn't actually.
I feel like we did
push the production, didn't we?
We did.
Because when we did it on Jen's machine, it wasn't making nearly this many calls.
No, but you know it's funny because when I looked at it like yesterday, I was showing a friend on mobile, and the pins were choppy on mobile for me. Yeah, I'm actually just gonna look at it on my phone here again, but
wait, tried the wrong thing.
I feel like
what are some ways that we could verify what version is actually in production?
Oh wait, let me refresh because it's bugging out the API.
Yeah, it's choppy.
What a good question. Let me. I guess
we definitely pushed it last year, but
API in progress. Let me see. I'm gonna close that. It's still making a bunch of calls. Go now. So no open pull request. Oh, maybe we didn't push it. Maybe.
Good.
Trying to. Got the way.
Those in Slack. It says merged by Jen. Yeah.
Oh, I thought we did. I guess let's pull up the branch and run it locally to see if it's different.
Yeah.
But
We
I
didn't
could have swore. Yeah.
Yeah, and
But
I
we
see
were on
actually. So if you use source, it's a little bit hard because it's all web packed. It's all like kind of minified and all that stuff. But if you go into the app and you inspect, I need to look in the sources. It is possible. What I did was um, I searched for drag end, and then
Yeah.
I found it in the map.js. So that gives me, quite a bit of confidence that that change is in there. So, and I think that either went in with or after the pending promise change. Is that true? Is it the same PR?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It might have been the changes that we were making. We were playing around with adding the cancel timer undid what we did.
Yeah.
Hold on. That might be. Let's hop over to that branch.
You run it locally if you can on the.
Yeah, I'll try and do that as well.
That's where I mean. Where changes.
Actually, maybe I don't want to pull. Let's just see.
Let's see what you have.
It definitely lowered the calls because we spent a good bit of time on it on Thursday, and it
Mhm.
definitely was working then. But maybe we didn't push it properly or something.
I think wherever we left the pending promise, and we did the moving around to try and implement that timeout, accidentally broke what we did, which
We spent a good bit of time on cancel timeout and kind of got into a bit of a web. So we just were like, let's step away from this for a moment. So we might talk to you about that in a while.
I do still see handle center changed as a method, but I don't see center changed as a. Is it center underscore changed?
We changed center changed to drag end.
Yeah.
And we
I
tried.
think we still have the name of the function as handle center change. We didn't change that, so
Yes.
maybe we just have some of that left over just by naming.
Yes.
Oh, actually, so I do see the center changed event in there as well. So
In production.
yeah,
Oh, obviously we didn't merge it properly, so.
but I also saw drag end. So
Oh.
I'm confused.
So
So
did we
I thought
accidentally delete things on the merge?
There was like a little bit of back and forth because there was some conflicts, I think. So maybe we didn't get rid of center change and we should have. Because we also tried idle and it did the same thing as drag end, essentially.
Yeah.
So
You're always in the wrong spot. Get out of here.
Yeah, I think actually maybe it's not. Or maybe it didn't get merged. Hey, Jen.
Oh, hey, Jen.
Hi, Jen.
hey.
What's up, Jen? Can you hear us, Jen?
Wait, it's not
Hi.
jumpy. Okay, so it's better here. Did we merge wrong? What happened?
Yeah, that's interesting. It's a lower.
Well, the other thing, like check out master, do a poll, make sure you're up to date, and then look at the code. It's another way to verify, I guess.
Frozen email.
How are you, Jen? How are you?
What?
Oh,
Get out of
we
here.
can't hear you.
I muted myself.
Oh, okay, there you go.
There we go.
Is it in map.js that has that event?
Yeah, I think so. But the changes during that session were on Jen's computer because mine was acting up. So,
Is there stuff missing or something?
I'm not convinced that
What?
Dragon made it into production.
Yeah, but I don't know why it wouldn't have. What was I? Oh, sorry, brain fart.
It's a puzzle.
Okay. What? This, I am in. I'm on master, right? Yeah, I'm master. I just did my poll. Now why is it? Now why is it broken? I mean, it's not broken on that apply deploy. Oh, is it just lagging? Weird. It's not necessarily choppy here. Oh wait, am I? Oh, I can't do that here. Do I have a delay I don't know about? Let me hit refresh. It should default to the middle though.
If you go to settings before you do anything and you set it to 0, then it'll load the pins. So this is that issue that we were trying to
Oh
change
yeah, why is this so
earlier.
fucked up?
So if you set it to 0, exit out and then you refresh, because otherwise you'll have to wait 25 seconds until it actually lets you grab pins. Yeah, that's why.
Okay.
I just cloned the project, brand new. So it's the latest master, and their drag end is there. So
yeah, I don't know what that was. It's super weird. Yeah, but it's not jumpy locally for me. So question mark,
did the
question mark,
build
question
succeed?
mark.
That'd be, I guess, the other thing to check.
It usually tells you that on this guy, doesn't it? When you merge it.
0 of 5 checks passed if you scroll down.
Where?
I know that the build failed.
Oh, it did? Oh, yeah, there it is.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was gonna ask everyone about that actually.
Deploying it again.
I don't think this will mean much to me. Okay.
Yeah, that was 3 days ago or something.
Failed to compile, redundant alt attribute.
Yeah, so the last build that actually succeeded was June 21st, so it's a bit out of date.
These don't seem like something that should keep you from building, though. It's just like you have too many alt tags, and you don't have dependencies and use it.
So this is that thing that I posted in the channel about this, but I don't think anyone fixed it. But it's so you look at that yellow line up above, and it says that warnings are treated as errors, and that's a change that Netlify made around like just before, between that last
post.
That's good building. That's one that didn't feel pass. So if someone wants to quickly fix that, I think the message is in channel somehow about what I think it's like. Yeah, exactly how to do it, but I have instructions in that thread about the change that needs to happen.
Okay.
To fix it. Yeah, it was on the 20th. It's action needed.
Yeah, here I see it. Do you see it?
I'm probably looking past it, so I'm just gonna search for it.
Yeah.
Message. Okay.
I'm just gonna open the door.
Package JSON. Oop, that's a lock. Copy.
So I think you just have to add a CI. Yeah.
Yeah, I did it the long way. Realized it a little too late. Out of here. Okay. Oh, I'm on master.
Yeah, that's all right. Just I would just commit it straight to master.
Okay.
We're doing a code review right here. We'll do it live.
Approved real time before
commit. Just give a real life thumbs up. Looks good to me.
Nope.
Somebody should start a different company. It's called Netflixify.
Oh, what a nightmare for both involved.
Yeah. No brand confusion there.
Oh, I messed up. Is that how you close it? Wait, okay, so when I don't do the same, like either double quotes or single quotes, how do I close it without just recommitting? Because I usually
Colon
just,
WQ, maybe? Is that Vim? I don't know if that's Vim. Or you could do Control C.
I'll just do Control C.
Usually, if you put the quote, yeah.
Well, you actually
think
did close it because you had a single quote account for Netlify single quote. So that would have been the commit message. And then the rest
Well,
would have been stuff.
wait, not focus person. But how do I need to
Because
just do double quotes? Is that what's messing
yeah,
up?
because
Like,
there's already a single quote in Netlify's, right? So it's gonna think
You
that
have
that's
to
the
escape the single quote.
or
I
put double
think
quotes around it either.
I think I've had this problem before to where you can't put a single quote
you can't. I
if you're
don't
doing the
understand
git
why.
commit like that.
I'm assuming it's
I
just
think it should
one
work.
of those the way things are
Okay, it
things.
works.
But
It works now.
yeah, my bad. Get out of here.
All right, so that should work. Let me watch the build. It's building.
Build.
Still building. So in Kanban, there's this concept of stop the line. So Kanban was actually first applied to production lines, like in Japanese auto factories. That's kind of where it was first built. And the kind of big innovation was that anybody along the entire production line, if there was a big enough problem, they could just stop the line. Everybody stopped, and then they figured out what it was, and then they fixed it, and then they got the line going again. So this isn't a good example of something where like we should have been like, bills are failing, we can't get the bills to pass. Like, help us. Kind of fixed it. But yeah, the bill just went through. It's published, so let's refresh and see if smooth pins. Boom! Look at that. So much better.
Beautiful. Beautiful thing.
Amazing when the code actually goes out to production.
Yes, it's wonderful when we actually get things to work. So yeah, we still have that. It's the same, but we implemented Dragon. Like actually, just instead of handling so much change, and that kept all of our like choppy pins, extra calls. Like there's still some, like you said, from it just trying to get a narrow down your location, but it's not nearly as much as it was. Therefore, it doesn't like time out the API or anything. And we hadn't implemented the timer yet because when we were talking, we were like, it might require like a lot of changes to the architecture of the app currently because we need to like store the timer as state, I believe, in order to be able to like in order for us to call it to cancel it. Is that around what we had said, Jen? Or Ashley?
Sorry, I went offline there for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without canceling the timeouts.
Yeah, we were talking about how in order to actually do it based on like what we currently have, it would require us to do like a bit of restructuring on the actual like architecture of the app because we need to be able to draw down everything from app.js so like everything can access it in order to actually have that timer be like canceled from state.
Yes, because we would have had to set that the timer as the function, but the function is changing fetch nearby places, which needs the center of the map from the map object.
Mm-hmm.
So that gets defined within the use effect. So if we try to set that function outside the use effect, it was kind of a little bit messy on pass where the information was coming from and passing it into the set timeout function, the nested function within the set timeout. And so that's the yeah, Amber's right. That was the difficulty that we were having.
But yeah, that's pretty much what we have completed. Like we were saying in our retro comments, we're probably gonna do more CSS focus in like the coming month, along with like maybe implementing that search function.
Can I just ask, because I kind of went offline, sorry, there was an extension for the Wi-Fi I didn't come onto. Did we merge it properly to master in the end? Did you figure that out, Amber?
We did. It had turned out that
Build failed.
yeah, the build failed because Netlify has like a new function where essentially warnings count as failures, as like warnings count as errors as opposed to just being warnings. So because we had these two guys here where we have like a redundant alt attribute and something else with use effect, it was failing because it was like acting like it was an error. So I didn't know, so it hadn't built.
Yeah, okay.
That's
I was like,
good.
why?
I was like, what happened? But yes, that is what happened.
We'll look into that so in the next few weeks and just see how we can get it.
Well, there was I had posted a message to the channel about fixing it, but didn't assign it to anybody, so no one picked it up. It was kind of
Oh, sorry. Okay.
tragedy of the commons kind of thing.
I did see that actually.
For some reason, I did see that message, but I thought that it was something that you had to do on like the Netlify side. For some reason, when I read it, it didn't register.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, okay, cool. Thanks for letting us know. Well, we could fix that sometime in the future if we ever run into it too. Got it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, but did you run it locally there and it was the API?
No, we actually
fixed it.
We fixed it in production. We got the build to pass, and now production's good. So yeah.
Oh, okay, brilliant. Sorry. Okay, brilliant.
Yeah.
It's all beautiful.
A lot happened while you were gone.
I know. The world. It's like, what is
the world gonna shift in.
Good. Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
Cool. Well, it's great. It's like, you all build an app and it works, and the chips, the pins, whatever they're called, are not choppy, and the thing works, and that's it's really exciting.
Yeah, definitely drag end was like a big eye opener. Did a lot of good stuff, didn't it?
Yeah. Cool. Should we do some retro?
Yep.
Sounds good.
So Jen, the rest of us all put our cards in already.
Yeah, I had a little bit of a hiccup this
Yeah.
afternoon. Let me fill that out really quick. Is it in the final retro? Is just up here? Okay.
Yeah, just put it in the chat.
That's my dog.
Jen, in the interest of time, would it work for you to be filling out the next column while we talk through the cards? And
That's totally
okay.
fine.
Is that all right? Okay.
Mhm.
That means you have to start with the appreciation.
Okay. No, I feel like this time around with Collab Lab, it felt like we were, well, at least me and like other people in this group too, we were just like always constantly busy all the time. A lot of us are like working at the same time and just have a lot of obligations or family things. And I feel like everyone was so kind and being considerate of each other's time and being really flexible. And I just like really appreciate that. And like, and I really appreciate Andrew, you for, we always say this, but for giving us the opportunity to meet people we probably would have never met, period, because we live in such different places, and like kind of like the meeting of the brains to make something together is such a beautiful thing. And so I just really appreciate everyone for just being kind in a crazy time.
Nice. Amber?
Cool. Well, also echoing all the stuff Jen said, you guys are awesome, as I say at the bottom. But I guess the main appreciation that I get from like this particular cohort was just getting a lot more insight into like how you break down and build like the workflow for a project. I have a project that I've been like muddling around with, like just like looking at my computer, but I'm kind of overwhelmed by the bigness of it, and I don't really know how to break it down. So it's really helpful to just like see like how you break down stories, kind of shorten them, make them bigger, try and break down the amount of work for the amount of time you have, that sort of thing. So I'm hoping I can implement that in my projects. And then secondly, which is really great working with everybody. Everybody's always great. Jen, Ashling, Matt, great people. It's crazy that both of the times, like I don't know, I feel like it's rare to like sign up for like a like volunteer thing and have everybody not only be like active but positive. So I'm really thankful for that and thankful for y'all. So,
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, I echo all that stuff. I appreciate every one of you. And just always, it's always very kind of humbling for me just to people put so much time and energy into Collab Lab at all. It's like y'all don't have to do this. I was on the wrap-up call for TCL 7 earlier today, and there's like 3 mentors and 4 people who just spent 2 months of their life doing all this stuff. And so for all of you, just like, especially in this case where this was a lot for me, a lot like the very first cohort that we ran, where I was like, I don't know if this is going to work. Like, let's just try it. We'll figure it out together. And all, just all the feedback you all have given and everything. It's made it 100 times better than it was when we kicked it off. So thank you for everything.
Yeah, I think I kind of feel very similar to everybody else. I think for me, the first cohort was a major learning curve because like kind of everything was new. I think I've said that before, whereas it was really nice to work with Jen again. Like we just work very well together. I always enjoy working with her, and then to have met Amber and Matt, and their way of thinking is just so different from my other 2 people that I worked with in the last cohort. So I feel like I've gotten so many different experiences of how people work and how they think about how to develop an app, which is really, really, really beneficial. Yeah, it's just really good. Like it was just the Kanban thing for me, which I'll kind of talk about later, was just really nice because it just meant you could be flexible. And I liked the feedback aspect of this. Not that there wasn't an opportunity to feedback in the last cohort. I just think there was so much opportunity in this. It was really nice to, like, I would highly recommend doing like cohorts again where you have people coming back and making, maybe in the future if it's a possibility. I think it would be really good for people because just working with different types of people is so beneficial. So yeah, thank you. I really, really appreciated it.
Nice. Jen, what went well?
I think towards the end we finally kind of like had aha moment about Kanban, but I think it was like in the last like week or two.
Mhm.
So, I mean, better late than never.
Mhm.
And then I think around that same time, we kind of had an aha moment of where we all started communicating more as well and having like midweek meetups and just kind of like having a better understanding of what the other team was doing that week.
Mm.
So I think that's what really, towards the end, really went well.
Mhm. Amber.
So, what went well, I really do like Kanban. As I said, like in the improved, I just wish we kind of started with it at the beginning, but I think we did a really good job of like ultimately rolling with the punches and working with it, and just like being the pilot and figuring out like what user stories needed to be like shrunk or that sort of thing, and just like I think we just did a really good job of working through this in a way and adding feedback in a way that'll make the next group of people that work through it like have a smoother, quicker experience. Well, not quicker, but you know what I mean, like
Mhm.
smoother, better.
Yeah, right. Yeah, just y'all were super flexible and had great suggestions for not only kind of process improvements, but just like actual functionality in the app and that kind of thing. So it's exactly how an agile project is supposed to run. You know, the team is feeding back their ideas from being in the trenches and doing the work, and then hopefully like the people who are kind of leading the project adjust and stuff. So yeah, I thought that was really good. And yeah, that switch to Kanban was really key. And that's, if we hadn't done this, this would have just been more of the same kind of what you did in your first cohorts. So uh, yeah, it kind of really solidified for me like how to make this sort of a progression. Like, you kind of get the basics down in the first cohort and then have a lot more responsibility and kind of flexibility and stuff in this one. So that
Mhm.
was great.
Yeah, I think I just liked having a say in the running of the few weeks. It just felt like you were able to steer the course a bit for yourself. And I think I really liked the like practical experience talking about like grooming and like talking about how in a real life setting it actually how you would run it. I really liked that. And the Kanban style, it's just, yeah. And I think because we had done the other cohorts stuff like the pull requests and all that was much simpler. So it's like we were able to do more because we knew more. So yeah, I really enjoyed all of that kind of stuff.
Is that both your cards?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, all right. So Jen, what could be improved?
And probably we all agree, probably starting Kanban from the beginning would have probably been good. And also like, I think being the pilot group is good because then you kind of see like what the pitfalls would be for like future groups, and really kind of having a readme that's like a getting started with Kanban, telling them kind of like how it's different from our like agile process before, and what to like try to avoid doing, like kind of for us like piling up of issues because people were like, oh, I didn't know who was working on that, what the issue was, things like that. So I think that'll also be taken care of by like the handoff messages in like the PRs or in the issues that we talked about before too, and using all like the different checkboxes for the ACs and stuff. And then also like making sure to like take the time to talk about the old issues that are still kind of like floating around on the project board. And it's like, hey, why are these still here? Kind of thing. So I think like those are just like the kind of things where in Agile it takes care of itself because people are like directly assigned, but because it's a more fluid process, just like helping people transition into that direction would be nice too. Oh,
That's
one other thing, I wasn't sure, I guess I didn't put, but I was thinking about it earlier, is I'm not sure, were you thinking about having this pilot run concurrently with other cohorts as well? Or are they going to be staggered? Because I think, I don't know how you feel, Ash, but I felt like doing two cohorts back to back was a little bit a lot. Like towards the end, like it was just like, it was not that I didn't enjoy the process, but it was kind of like a very, very long time commitment kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering if like encouraging people to take like a break of like 1 or 2 cohorts in between before they decide to like jump back in with TCL whatever we're gonna call it next might be like a good recommendation for some people.
Yeah. Yeah. So with the new application process and stuff, like there's actually going to be a gap of a week between TCL 8 ending and TCL 9 and 10 kicking off. So there's going to be a built-in sort of gap week there. But yeah, still like that might not be enough of a gap for somebody who, is still kind of going straight through. But I think like at least in my head, I haven't actually talked to Sue, Stacy, and others yet, but in my head, it's kind of like, we're going to be kicking off 2 cohorts at a time every 9 weeks. So there'll be 8 weeks of a cohort, then a week between, and then we'll kick off 2 new cohorts. And if we ever get to a point where we don't have enough people for both of those cohorts to do the initial project, then I'll kind of jump in and run this kind of 201 project for whoever wants to do it. So it may not happen every round. Unless it could be that, if we have enough mentors and enough applicants and enough interest, we could run 2 of the sort of 101s and then this one alongside of it as well. Eventually I'd like to not be the only person who runs this project, but the like Kanban and some of those aspects of it are quite a bit more complicated to run as well, compared to the other projects. So I'd have to have somebody who's really interested in learning that aspect of that stuff and kind of do a couple of cohorts with me probably before I'd be comfortable having someone else run it. So I'll probably be the one running it for a while. But,
I have a little bit of a sidetrack question. Is that okay to ask it now, or should I wait for later?
If everyone's okay with it, that's fine.
Yeah, we're good.
Oh, would you ever consider like having like TCL also be for someone who's interested in learning like the managing side of a project? Because I think it's like a pretty big kind of task, and this is like a really nice safe space for someone who probably has the experience, but like wants to learn how to manage in a different style or something.
Yeah, I guess my fear with that would be that they would overmanage. To be honest, like part of there's a little bit of like the mentors, and I try to keep a pretty light touch on terms of actually managing you all. Like it's a lot of kind of you're in there having to figure it stuff out. And if I could see someone who's kind of an early career project manager wanting to I need to be useful, so I'm going to do a bunch of stuff. It kind of like puts a bunch of guardrails on you, and you're like, it's okay, I don't need all that structure. That'd be my fear. It doesn't have to be that way, but it's a good idea. And actually, I have ideas about that and ideas about having early career designers be part of the project too, right? So
yeah,
like making an actual kind of project team that's cross-functional and doing something similar.
That'd be
a
very
lot
cool.
more complicated. Yeah, it'd be cool. Yeah.
A lot more involved though, yeah.
In TCL 7, this guy Nabil he's a product designer it's his day job, and he's learning to code and stuff. But he offered to kind of play designer and like do like designer handoffs and stuff for cohorts in the future. So I'm going to look into that. Maybe like he creates wireframes for the other project or for this project even, and then we do like a design review, and kind of the team gets to ask questions about the design and like all those kinds of things that happen in a sort of real team as well. So it's a really good idea. Yeah. All right, Amber, what could be improved?
Okay, so like we were saying, start with combat at the beginning. I just assume that's what we're doing, but figured I'd put it down anyway.
Yeah.
And I know that the whole point of Collab Lab is to work on the collaboration and not so much the technical portion, but it does seem like for both the courts I've been through, and kind of in general with like people that are either marketing themselves as like a full stack or like mostly if people are trying to market themselves full stack engineers, they kind of like are really got a light touch on the CSS. So I guess it'd be nice to maybe like, since this is such like a a safe space like Jim was talking about for learning, having like like SAS 101 or like BOMA 101, like just like a little, or Materialize 101, just like a little something, just so everybody's exposed to it. Because I feel like when, like, especially if you get to the end and you have the CSS story, sometimes you just don't, the other like half of the group doesn't really interact with the actual building of the CSS and coding of the CSS. So it'd be nice to have like a moment where we all like, just learn more things in general.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep. Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's pretty much it.
Something similar kind of came up in TCL 7 where they were talking about would it make sense to front load the choice of a CSS framework or something, and then you just build it within the framework the whole time.
I think one idea would be like to have a README about different CSS packages or something different groups have used in the past, probably like lining out the pros and the cons, and then letting the what do you the collabs decide
Top notch.
what they want, because then like they have all the information available to them, what they'd like to choose, or like sometimes you can choose like material and also like inline styles for like I forgot it was called emotion or something, so like you can like mix and match. I think like giving that kind of structure and giving structured information would be really helpful for people to take off and I think build a lot more nice looking apps maybe.
Yeah.
I also notice a lot of job searches are being almost specific with the CSS frameworks now anywhere. They're not just saying like, this versus saying like React versus JavaScript. They really are being like SAS,
Yeah, I actually
BOMA.
as well.
And it's like, oh, interesting. So like, as an act of building your portfolio, it'd be really helpful, I think, to cohorts as well.
That's a good point.
Just to even be exposed to that. 'Cause I know my boot camp kind of went like a light touch on the CSS as well, which is probably why I have made a light touch on the CSS over the past 9 months. So,
Yeah.
just exposure never
Yeah.
hurts.
No.
Yeah, there's something there that there was an adjustment I think we need to make there. I'll talk to the mentors about it, but that's really good feedback. Thank you. Excuse me. All right, so yeah, so besides story splitting, I feel like I need to figure out other learning modules that are more collaboration focused. Well, the cores one, it's pretty kind of dense and didn't have enough animated GIFs and stuff. But was it
I still have to add the images for that one.
was it was that useful information though?
Yeah.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
I think so. The cores one. So I had some ideas on adding some what you would call like just really plain like graphics things to have more like boxes and arrows instead of like a lot of text. And I think even that would just help break up the information more. But it's just like it's such good information. I feel like it really should stay there. It just needs like a couple of pictures to help people digest the info, I think.
Excellent.
I do feel like it's pretty core to the apps.
But
I think actually though, a grooming one pretty early on might also help too. I think we did grooming pretty late. But if it was like an earlier learning module, I think that would be really helpful too. And kind of like starting to fuel the collaboration, like the higher collaboration discussion for Kanban.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. All right. Ashley.
Yeah, just like the ACs being a bit more defined. I find like in the week 2 ACs is like a good chunk. Depends on what they are, obviously, but most of the time it's like 2 to 3 ACs is like a good chunk for 2 people to take. Something else that kind of came into my mind as well is like just giving people like a little bit of support at the start by saying like other cohorts found when everyone met during the week, it really helped them. Because like I know the idea is for people to learn things on their own about the collaboration as well as the coding, but I think some things like that would be really helpful, or just like, I know myself, and I don't know if I did it with Amber or Jen as much, but myself and Matt went away and did things kind of on our own sometimes and came together, and that was kind of nice too. Like just if someone wasn't feeling up to meeting or just had a really kind of hard day or whatever and just didn't have time, they would go away and do bits of it on their own. So encouraging people to do a little bit on their own and kind of presenting it to each other a little bit as well. Is another way. And then just smaller issues and then more concise ACs. And I think the other thing I said was just like that Google API thing that you showed us was so helpful. So maybe early, getting that in early, and just like a few good websites on Google React and like how to implement it, because it's a huge part of this particular project, I guess. So and I would definitely second the CSS stuff. I feel like in our last cohort, the CSS was kind of an afterthought to make it look great at the end. So
it was definitely a sprint.
It was, yeah. If you can get it early, because I actually really enjoy CSS, but it kind of becomes a chore if you're in a bit of a rush. Whereas if you're kind of just tipping away at it every so often, so maybe thinking about the CSS and the issues, like doing a little thing in the issues where you're like, make sure it looks nice in this way, or just something that you're kind of nudging the CSS as well as the code in the issue, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we do need to make an adjustment there. The theory was that, just have people focus on the functionality because that's going to be enough scope for
that's the thing too.
Or something, but you don't want people to I put in 10 extra hours like trying to make everything look really nice.
Exactly. I suppose it's just like little nudges, like not saying, because I suppose obviously everyone's open to their own creativity or whatever, but it's just saying something like if you have time, like here's a way that, just maybe giving a bit of a hand like on how to make it look.
I like the idea of working from wireframes, because that means like you can be done at the point where it's all just black text on a white background, but everything's in the right place.
Okay.
So you're kind of adding structure, and then people probably add a little bit of color and stuff as they go, and maybe like add a drop shadow here or whatever, like start to add things in. But maybe that's a way that it can be a little more incremental. Like if you hand people a full on finished design at the beginning, they're gonna go down rabbit holes trying to get it to match the design.
Or even just like we had a really good session in our last cohort about our color scheme, and we picked a color scheme, even saying like week 2, like try to think about what colors you want to, because like I think we changed our buttons a few times and stuff, Jen, remember, like we originally
like a million times.
Yeah, so it's like maybe you could all agree on a like a set of like hashtag 000434 or whatever it is, what I mean? Everyone just kind of carries that throughout. So just like a more high level conversation about the CSS, I guess, is against anything too stressful.
Yeah, I definitely want to second your comment about smaller scope cards. I think like at least at the beginning, like when it's like people are trying to get the hang of Kanban, having those be all already kind of scoped really well. And this is actually pretty realistic. Like you start a project, and the project managers put a bunch of time into like making sure that the first things that the team needs right now are all really well scoped, and the things that are further out are in much more kind of ambiguous shape. They're not broken down and that kind of thing. So it's not unrealistic actually to have, as you get into the project, the team needs to start kind of digging in and splitting stories out a little bit more. So
I do think though for the first cohort that like week to week was really important. Like I don't know how well Kanban would work with just like new people.
Oh no, for sure. Yeah, this is only for the 201.
Yeah,
for
sure.
The
second time. Okay. Yeah.
I think that more Scrum-like style, the structure of it and stuff is.
It worked really well. Yeah, kept you like accountable a bit. Yeah. Good.
And then I just put a note in here, a link to the Notion doc. Like Ashley, you said a bunch of things that weren't in your card, so it'd be great if you could move some of those into the Notion doc, so I don't lose track of them.
Okay.
And then what's next, Jen?
All right. Take Collab Lab to the next level. Basically, I'm really excited. I think it's been such an eye-opening experience. And I love that I get to meet other like entry level and non-entry level devs and kind of have a meeting of the minds kind of thing, and like everyone's opinion is heard. And unfortunately in the real world that's not how it always works. And so I think that I like however I can, I would like to contribute to like put Collab Lab more out there so that we can kind of like reach more people and like have it be like you said in previous stand-ups, like have it be more than just like a North America thing, have it be kind of like a more worldwide thing. I think that would just be awesome and like really kind of like connect devs. And then just continuing to chip away at our TCL 5 and this pilot project, make it look nice, because of course I'm going to put it on my resume because we worked really hard on this. And then I'm just working on my data engineering course as usual for work, but that's what I'm going to be doing.
Nice. Awesome. Amber.
So I kind of specifically talked about the app. I can talk about other stuff too, but for the app, I really would like to do like that search function and or bring another API to bring in just more pins. Because I know one of my portfolio projects from my boot camp was essentially like a travel planning app. So the API that I used for our attractions was like, I think it's like Open Map API. I think that's what it was called. But it was like an international thing because my mind was like, oh, anybody can use the app. Yada yada. But it had but it was a really robust API. It had like a bunch of stuff in it. So maybe either adding that or something along those lines, just so like there's more attractions and the map looks like super populated and yada yada. So and just in general for my life, I also do really enjoy Collab Lab, and I do think it's a really like both important and like very unique experience that I would like more people to just see that it's happening, like be a part of it if they can be. Just because like I like on Twitter a lot and I see a lot of like entry level people just being like, oh man, I wish there was just like ways to not only like get your foot in the door, so to speak, but just like connect with other people that are also searching in like a meaningful way. And I definitely feel like this fills that gap. So I would love to be a part of it in any way that I can.
Yeah,
and also on personal news, I start a new job tomorrow as
You do?
as a back end like a back end mainframe apprenticeship with Northwestern Mutual.
Oh, that's
So
amazing.
thank God I don't have to search for jobs anymore. What a
That's so
blessing.
great. Wow, I'm so
So
happy for you.
thank you. So I start that up really soon. Well, I start that up tomorrow, but it's like a training portion and then like the proper apprenticeship with them from like September to November. And then after that, you get rolled over as like a proper back-end employee with them. So I'm really excited about that.
That's
But,
amazing.
yeah.
Mainframe?
Yeah.
Like what are you going to be programming?
I think the program language is called ZOS. Effectively, it was like I found it through a program called Launch Code, and they kind of like, I guess they're technically a staffing company, but they're kind of like a nonprofit staffing company where they essentially connect like non-traditional background software developers with like holes that are needed in industry. So apparently like mainframe is just a really big thing and people aren't really learning mainframe languages anymore. So they're like, okay, get in here, get this training, and then you get this job. So I applied and got in. So it's really exciting.
That's amazing. That's so great. All right. That's such good news.
Well done.
Very cool.
My next.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't even see what I wrote there. I think I mainly focused on the app as well, but it's just further CSS. I really like the idea of the search. So we've kind of made myself and Amber just had a conversation. We were saying we'll try and hold each other accountable and keep the ball rolling. One thing that did come into my head a little bit is like just like potentially having like I thought I would sit in on something like conflict in the workplace, or like not conflict, but like ways that you can work well in a team as well. Like just even having like even maybe not necessarily in this cohort. I suppose in our last cohort there was mentors and they were working in the field, but like just having someone maybe even outside of Collab Lab who just is like in a different industry to you guys, I guess. I'm just talking about their experience, good and bad, of working as a software developer or a web developer or whatever the case may be. So I think that would be really beneficial. And then I think just like for me, I'm working in like not coding, so like Collab Lab was so amazing. I think my course was very like on my own. So like
Mhm.
I think the biggest thing is the collaboration. Obviously, we've realized that, but it's just the achievement as well. It's so like nice to have an actual app that you can show people and be like,
Mhm.
thing, you know. But yeah, I think I'll definitely keep on the Slack and see what's happening. But I think you guys are doing some really cool stuff, and I'm excited to see what comes out of it for
Yeah,
sure.
thanks. Yeah, so I don't know if you can read that, but yeah, we a few months ago we applied to be an actual proper 501c3 nonprofit. So um, it's going a little slowly because I assume because of the pandemic and stuff. It's but hopefully that comes through pretty soon. That's going to unlock a bunch of things for us. We'll be able to actually go out and fundraise and stuff because people will be able to write it off their taxes and that kind of thing. So, and then, we've changed the application selection process. So we're going to be doing that. Like we're in the middle of kind of running that for the first time. Hopefully that goes well. We're starting to build up a program of training and workshops outside of the cohorts. So, we do the little learning modules, but we want to have like other training opportunities, kind of learning opportunities for people, that have who are alums of Collab Lab as well. So um, the first one of those is going to be on interviewing. So um, there's we're contracting with a person who I actually used to work with at Apple, who left Apple to become an actor. So she managed to get herself on a couple of like TV commercials and stuff, like from going like basically from no acting to being on some TV commercials. And then what she does now is she calls it voice empowerment coaching. So um, she's been around tech. She's not a developer herself, but the thing that she does is she helps you learn to coach yourself through an interview process because it can be really stressful. And you might know all the things and been studying really hard and you're ready for the interview, and then you get in there and the stress of it makes it all fall out of your head. Right? I know that's happened to me. So kind of how do you kind of keep that stuff all in your head and when you're across a Zoom call, I guess these days, from somebody kind of grilling you on some stuff. So that's the first one. We'll do more in the future as well.
That's great.
So yeah, so love hearing. I mean, I'm not surprised that all of you who came back for a second round of this would say that you want to stay involved, but please do. And also just lean on me, the other mentors, your fellow collabbies as well. Just this is a community that we're trying to build, and we all should have each other's backs and be looking out for opportunities for each other and helping each other in any way. And I'm happy to write recommendations or introduce. Like I've, well, yeah, I mean, Amber, Nakima. I emailed the CEO of a company and like she got an interview with them and stuff. I just like cold emailed him. And
Right.
it's like that's a really nice thing to do. We're definitely
Yeah.
going to talk to her and stuff. So I'm happy to do that kind of thing for anybody. So yeah, just let us know, like me and Stacy, all the other mentors, how we can support you as you get started in your careers. Amber, I definitely want to hear about this apprenticeship. I'm
Yeah.
really interested in. I mean, I'd love to like. The more you can like I've never heard of ZOS. I've never done any kind of mainframe programming. Like it's all new territory for me. So I'd love to hear about it.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely keep you posted. It's all like literally brand new. I've gotten like 5 or 7 binders from the training company, and it's just like I'm like, oh, this is going to be interesting. Yeah, I was like, oh man, physical binders. I'm kind of into it because like my boot camp was like fully remote, so I'm just used to just like scrolling it continuously. But I have like actual workbooks. I'm like, ah.
Yeah, do you have
So,
highlighters and stuff? You're gonna like go through it.
I honestly probably should go buy some because I had like I had a phase when I tried to do like brush painting, like calligraphy. So I have a lot of decorative pens, but I have no highlighters. So I could maybe just like underline things, color code things, take it back to high school.
Yeah, exactly. Physical paper. Wow.
Physical paper, crazy things.
This has been so fun. It's been so amazing. Thank you all for everything, all the feedback, especially. This is going to be, I think it's going to be a really good kind of second experience for future people as well. So you've blazed some trails. Was that right? Yeah, blazed some trails for people. So thank you.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun doing it. So.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you for the opportunity. It's amazing.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Well, I guess we'll see you around Slack. I hate ending cohorts. It's my least favorite thing about the whole thing.
Yeah, I know.
I know, exactly. More
It's
like,
like
what's the one with the
whip.
Yeah. Let's still be on the Slack and
Yeah, yeah.
chip away at
sure.
different ones. Yeah.
And now we have all of our Slack history and stuff. You know, you can go back
Oh,
to
yeah,
your
I
old
saw
cohort. You
that.
could scroll all the way back to the start and re-experience it if you want. Like
Oh,
our channel's not going to go away and stuff. So yeah, we'll always be able to kind of
very
hang out
good.
there.
That's awesome.
Okay, brilliant.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
folks, have a nice
Bye.
evening.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll see you
Bye.
on Slack.
See
Have
you
a good
guys.
one, y'all. See you
Bye.
around.